Welcome, everyone, to our Thursday AI Agency Accelerator call. Typically, in the past few weeks, we've gone over a lot of different topics, mainly in regards to how to generate clients for your agency. So that's typically one of the things that everyone has questions on. So we've gone over things about like how to build your agency's foundation, how to create your offer, how to create your irresistible offer, like our guy Hermosa here. We've gone over how to select your business niche, how to position an offer for those niches. And we always like to kind of give two main examples of the save the money or the make the money option. And sometimes that can be both options, which is always a great solution. And then a bunch of different examples about how you can actually deploy this to then sell that to clients that you've generated from either social media organically or through paid ads or through your network or cold outreach, things like that. We've then talked about how to run a sales call and get people interested into actually making a purchase. And today we're going to be talking about kind of what happens after this sales meeting or this process. And this is going to be more in line with the onboarding side of things as an AI agency. So one of the things I see quite often is agencies focus a lot on the building side of the process and not necessarily so much on the selling side of things. But when you're able to use a platform that allows you to sell things easier, like Stammer, for example, it becomes much more about this end process than the building side of things. So, for example, like a lot of agencies I talk to or agencies that sign up with Stammer are people who have used things like make.com or NAN or any other platform basically that is a little bit more complicated to use. And it's sometimes it's quite tough to understand and complete everything that you're wanting to do or that your users want to do because they have a lot of different requirements and things like that. So today we're going to be reviewing the onboarding processes. So this is a quick little presentation or spreadsheet that addresses some of these questions that we get from agencies all the time. It's like, what happens when a new customer actually does subscribe or signs up to the platform? And there's a lot of different ways that we can answer these questions, but we wanted to keep it pretty general for most people. And we can give a few examples of ways that our platform help solicit these things. So, for example, like when you get a new subscriber, you can set up a email notification to yourself or a webhook URL, and that will then allow you to send out further emails and automations from your CRM or things like that. So one of the like I was mentioning, one of the biggest pain points that a lot of people have is they're building these complicated workflows, and when a customer comes to them that says, hey, I want, just a simple customer support AI agent that I can put on my website, that's great because that is you're able to easily reproduce that consistently. But what happens if someone's like, oh, I also want to be able to generate leads or schedule meetings or anything like that? It causes a lot of pain points where the agency, may not be able to deliver on. So that's one of the reasons why we try to help set those things up in the first place. That way you're able to more clearly set the stage and have people understand exactly what these AI agents are going to be able to provide to them. And that helps us, do all of these things, set clear expectations and make sure that the customers are happy because what they know going into it is going to be at minimum what they're going to get out of it. And obviously we want to try to, I always get this wrong, under promise, over deliver, I think is the correct way to say it. I always mess that up. But the whole idea here is we're trying to work with our clients collectively and provide them a good service that they can see the value in very quickly. And so there's a couple different ways that you can do this. And the Stammer platform allows for kind of either way, depending on how you want to run your agency. So a lot of people will follow more of a traditional process where people sign up to the platform, they do that initial sales call, and once they're sold on it, then they start off with an onboarding call. And this is something that we do ourselves as well. Like Drew on today's call will do the onboarding meeting with most new agencies to help them get acclimated to the platform and understand kind of what is possible and what's not possible. But when an AI agency is talking with an end business client, a lot of the times that business client or business owner is not going to want to do any work themselves. And that's where a lot of our agencies are able to upsell a lot of other services, the done for you service, white glove, kind of that whole process. And that's where you can start charging a lot more money because you're able to do all the work for them. I was even in I was even in a call earlier this week on was it Monday or Tuesday, and I was talking with a business agency, and they were like, "Oh, well, how do we start using this and selling this to our clients?" And I was like, "Well, typically we teach you how the platform works and then we kind of just like hand it off to you. But if you are interested in having us do more of the work for you, then we can, charge you more money." And they're like, "Oh, that'd be amazing. We're definitely interested in doing that." So it's very, this is one of the easy ways of offering this type of service because the white label version of Stammer and your version of the platform will be able to facilitate both of those things. And one of the ways that our agencies are able to sell to a lot of different businesses and niches is not only positioning it as a specific offer for customer support or lead generation or whatever, but they're actually able to build and deploy a version of this for the business before they even get to the end of the sales call. And that's always been one of the most powerful things is you can create a template AI agent, scrape a user or a business's website, and then be able to show them and say like, "Hey, this is exactly what this stuff will be able to do when you sign up. We'll be able to put that one into your account and you can go live within a day or so and you'll be ready to rock and roll." And that lowers the amount of time that a business will see their first value in the service that you're providing. And this is always one of the key things when we're talking about running an agency and dealing with clients in general is how quickly can we get them to their first value moment or their aha moment with value. And a lot of the times that can be done from a customer support point of view, especially as an agency. One of the things that I've always said is when a business starts working with an agency, and I'm sure other people hearing this or watching this will have experienced this in the past, where a business owner comes to you and be like, "Oh my gosh, I was some other agency scammed me, or I never heard back from my website guy, or whatever it may be." And what that does is it sets the barrier to be fairly low of the requirements to become a good agency. You have to simply just respond quickly and make sure that you don't just sell them and then ghost them. And because the platform is always available for them to review and the dashboard is there, it's much easier to kind of make that point or that sale because it's not just like it's the business isn't just like trusting you as an agency to deliver, God knows what. There's physical proof here of the white label version of the platform that they can go and look at and review at any time. Especially when now that we have all of the analytics and things like that. So having the availability of the platform is very key because that like I said gives a lot of validity to your clients when you're getting started. Now the final thing on this slide is the email automation sequence that you're going to likely set up. We from Stammer we provide very simple emails to get started because we know that basically every agency is doing a different offer or a different method of client acquisition and selling to different niches, and everyone has different types of offers. So when agencies sell to their first client, we'll typically recommend that when you have a new subscriber or a new subscription, you can send a webhook of that person's information to your CRM, and then that will kick off an email sequence that will then introduce them to the platform. It'll send them this welcome email with a video. Videos are always really good to increase that brand trust, because who they saw on the sales call is who they're seeing on the welcome video. And potentially it's the same person that is on the onboarding call that you're doing. And that consistency really comes across when someone's trying to, make sure that you're legitimate and working for the agency and doing the right things that you want to do. So typically when agencies are doing that initial onboarding or kickoff call, as people like to sometimes call it, there's kind of two ways to go about this. The first is to hone in on exactly the specific use case, and more often than not, you'll already have a lot of this information from the sales call, like exactly what are they looking for, whether it's a support bot or generating leads or following up with customers, internal AI agents for sales teams, things like that. So this can be a good way to just make sure that what they said on the first call is actually what they're wanting to do now that they are, moving down the pipeline and becoming a paid subscriber. And like I mentioned earlier, because the platform is able, you're able to create these agents very quickly. Most of the time, people will have a version of their AI agent that is based off of all this information already built. So that way, when you get to that onboarding call, it's not a give us information and then we'll go and build it. It's we've already built a version of it. Now let's work together to refine it and make it better based off of your language or the way that the style that you'd like it to respond in. Some businesses want, everything to be super, like rigid in a sense. And some businesses want things to be a little bit more fun and creative. And it really kind of depends on how a business owner is engaging with these agents. And it's best to do that the first time together on one of these onboarding calls. So once you get all of the information and you create the right prompt, it becomes a lot easier to make this an AI agent that can be very easily deployed into any different platform, whether it's on the website or behind a social media channel or things like that. And the business owner will have a lot more confidence, in what they're doing in what you're doing, because they've already seen it and tested it and worked with you to refine it. So a couple things that I've already mentioned, but good to always keep in mind. Uh, setting a very clear, consistent communication channel is always one of the best things that we recommend. A lot of agencies will use things like Discord or Slack to manage their communication with their clients, and that's what we do as well. We have our public Discord channel, and then for any of our enterprise clients, we have a one-on-one Slack channel that you can talk to us in. So those are always super useful. These other options are relatively simple in the grand scheme of things of running an agency. And if you've done any of this stuff before, it'll make a lot of sense. The timeline, this can always be this is up for debate, so to speak, when you get started. When we look at more of a typical timeline, we can see that, this can go for about a month of things. But like I was mentioning up here, if you're already focused on building a very simple version of the bot very quickly, this process will be sped up very significantly, where you can do most of these things within a week or two at max. It's not like it's going to be a full month of onboarding and getting things started. Obviously, once everything goes live, then you can start to refine further as more end users start to utilize the platform. So there's a kind of a checklist guide here at the end, and this kind of helps work you through some of these processes if you're new to the onboarding game or the AI agency game in general. And I'll of course drop a link to this in our school community, and I'll put it on our documentation as well, so you guys can all download this and kind of go through it. But I guess Drew, you do more onboarding than I do now. Do you have anything that you'd like to add or mention on top of all this info?
Sorry for the background noise. I'm working out of a coffee shop today. The biggest things that I can share with people is if you are doing more of a traditional done for you model, we want to make sure we're communicating with the clients. Normally that's with some sort of kickoff call. And on that call is when you'll be asking these sorts of questions that are on the screen here. And so thinking about how we talk to the client in terms of functionality, we want to the couple of pieces of our software. Number one is going to be the prompt, and so ultimately you'll be responsible for that. But there are pieces of information that we'll need in order to craft the best prompt to do what we have sold, and that usually starts with the personality or tonality of the business. Is it professional? Is it friendly? Is it a combination of all the above? And so we want to ask, what tone of voice would the client prefer? Typically start with objectives, with what functionalities we're bringing. Is it just a support agent? Is it a lead generation or qualification agent? Is it an appointment setting agent? Is it all of the above? Based on those functionalities, there are additional questions. If it's a support agent, where are we getting the information from? Where are the answers to those questions? That could be on the client website. It could be an internal document that the client uses. So we'll need to get access to that type of information. If we are in a lead gen or qualification bot, then we want to be able to ask what questions are the qualifiers and how do we use the logic to either qualify or disqualify people through that process. If we're using appointment scheduling, are we going to be using the Google Calendar integration we have available? Are we going to be using another calendar link that's provided from the client, from Calendly or cal.com, some of those other services out there? If so, we will need that link in order to add it to the prompt and make sure that the agent is functioning from there. Those are some of the pieces that we initially kind of talk about. There are always some additional there's always additional testing that has to be done in order to make sure the agent's functioning as you intend it to, as well as how the client sees it in their mind. So I always recommend having some sort of follow-up chat. It doesn't have to be a Zoom call or anything, but some sort of email thread chat that goes to the client that says, hey, here's kind of the first draft. I have it built the way that we've described. I tested it. Everything functions as intended. Now it's your turn to make sure that it functions as intended before it goes live.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, great info there. I think the main thing when you're first getting started is obviously where that info is coming from. And the example I was showing earlier, it's super easy to scrape a business's website, but a lot of the times they'll have more internal documentation that they want to provide. And obviously that information probably won't be public. So that's something where when you initially create an AI agent and you show them an initial demo, the information that's on the website will be able to be asked about. And one of the things that we, in general, that we say is good data in, good data out, bad data in, bad data out. So, and more is not always better in many cases. So, if a business is like, hey, we have 100,000 documents of stuff, you can be like, all right, that's great. However, I would recommend that we try to refine the use case. That way, we're only adding information that will be relevant to the example or the use case. So if it's a support bot, that is answering questions, we should really only be loading information that will help this support bot answer those types of questions. And typically, when we're looking at service businesses, restaurants, law firms, dentist office and things like that, 95% of the questions are going to be very repetitive. When are you available? What are your hours and things like that. And the business owner a lot will typically know what those questions are for the business. Yeah, Tim, anything else that you wanted to add?
No, no, but I would like to open it up for questions about this. Do you guys have any questions about onboarding related topics? Any other questions that things you're having trouble with? What's the biggest blocker for you if you're having trouble getting started?
Yeah, anybody?
And you can always type questions in the chat if for whatever reason you don't want to come off of mute.
Hello, guys.
Hi.
Hey, Roberto.
Hi, hello, this is Roberto. I am happy to join this Thursday meetings. This is my first one. I got on board from with the help of Drew, who's Drew. Yeah, because I am just starting with this with the first sub account. I just have I don't know how to set the limit, the character limits, and that thing. I don't know whether it's something to ask for here or in a normal call with you or with somebody else.
I'm
A
having a
little hard to understand.
yeah, I'm having it's like kind of muffled or something.
What about now? Better?
Yeah, a little bit better.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm Roberto. This is my first one. Thank you for having me. And thank you, Drew, for helping me with the onboard. My question, because I just got my first stock account,
Yep,
I don't know how to set up all the plans and the character, the limit characters and that kind of stuff. How
got it.
to set up the price for the not for the plan but for the conversation with the bot. I don't know if it's something to be asked here or
Yeah. So technically, the like to set it up technically, you do all of this inside of the SaaS configurator. And the way that we will typically recommend people to get started is to use a limit of either 100,000 characters or maybe 500,000 characters for storage. This really is dependent on how large the business is. Stammer provides you as an agency 1 million characters of storage per AI agent in your plan. And so what that means is you can basically decide how many characters that you want to provide for your individual AI agents. And this could be a way where you could create multiple different plans that have different amounts of characters per agent, which then will allow you to get people signed up on a higher tier plan. And because you can control and upsell people on more storage. So, for example, if you create a plan that has 500,000 characters, but the business needs 2 million for whatever reason, or they have a large website and a lot of web pages, you could upsell them on a couple extra million characters and then charge them a certain amount of money per month. And then that will allow them to um, upgrade basically without having to pay a ton more money. And it all kind of comes back to this concept of, if they're trying to do a simple use case or if they're going to have, more advanced functionality. Hopefully that makes sense.
yeah, thank you. Is there a way to the characters to do it some kind of equivalence or something? Because I can say 100,000 characters. I have no idea where is the equivalence of something. You know what I mean?
Sorry, can you say that? Can you say that
He,
again?
he's saying, yeah, he's saying basically that, and this is just a thing that you have to learn how to inform your customers about that. But he's saying that it's hard to translate what the idea of a character is and like how big that is because people aren't used to counting kind of characters essentially.
Got it.
I can jump in and answer this. The way that I try to equate this for most clients, if they are scraping websites, is that the average website page has about 10,000 characters on it. And so if you're in the process of training a website and the website has 100 pages, then you know that you can do the math there that that website should, in theory, have about 1 million characters. I think Ross or Tim already said this, but for a majority of small businesses, they are only going to come, maybe 20 to 25% of that average capacity that we give you. And so it should be, more than enough. And what I would recommend is you, as the agency, handle this for the client, because the character storage really isn't going to make or break the functionality of the agent. It's just the ability to answer, the most possible amount of questions. And so I would handle that completely as the agency so that they don't even have to think about that, because it's really one more question that the client's going to ask, which, our whole goal through the sales process is to remove any of that potential resistance.
Yeah. Cool.
Does that help answer your question, Roberto?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I mean, I'm just started, so I'm pretty sure that with experience, I will get more sense or feeling about this.
Yeah, exactly. And once you start onboarding customers and working with customers, you can easily scrape one of their websites to get an idea of how many characters that is on their website.
Yeah. Cool. All right. I think
Okay,
that.
well, I think we need to jump on our support call.
Yep. I think so. All right. Thanks everyone for joining. See you guys next week. Take care.
Yep.
Thank
take
you.
care.
Bye-bye.